For more on the game, let's bring in a man who covers the Browns for our sister station, WKYC in Cleveland, Nick Camino. So, Nick, they did it once against the Steelers, and of course the fan base is elated. Can they do it again against an even greater opponent in Kansas City?
That's the million-dollar question, right? I mean, listen, I think if you're looking at the Chiefs defensively, I don't think that they're as good as the Steelers are defensively. And we saw what the Browns were able to do, putting up that many points and creating some unique opportunities for themselves. But obviously, when you look at the offensive side of the football for the Chiefs, I mean, they're a machine. They've got Pat Mahomes and Kelsey and a ton of different weapons and a strong offensive line, and we know what they can do. So, can the Browns keep up with that? That's the big question. Can they win the game? I think the Browns could keep it close to put themselves into position to make it interesting at the end. But this is a tall task, and we know odds makers don't disagree. The Browns are a 10-point underdog.
I think anytime you win a road playoff game by double digits, we can't call it fluky. But there was something, Nick, about that game. I mean, it was a perfect storm in Pittsburgh. The types of plays they were getting, the turnovers mostly, are those easy to repeat in Arrowhead?
Yeah, I mean, am I expecting the first snap from scrimmage to go over Pat Mahomes' head for a touchdown for the Browns? No, I mean, but you are going to have to catch some breaks. I mean, you know that, Dave. I mean, in the postseason, you're going to need a little bit of luck. And the thing was, it seemed like the Browns took advantage of every opportunity they got. I think there's always that question of, well, are you cashing in on opportunities? If you just settle for a field goal. It seemed like every time the Steelers made a mistake, the Browns didn't score a field goal. They scored a touchdown. I mean, they really made them pay. Are you going to get those types of opportunities against a well-rested Chiefs team that's on their home field, that's had some time to look at you on film? I just don't know.
I love talking about casino logic when we deal with underdogs. And what I mean by that is if you sit at the blackjack table for 3 days, you will lose. But in the course of 20 minutes, Nick, you can do it. And what I mean now, let's talk about the underdog Browns and the favorite Chiefs. Well, if they played 30 quarters, Kansas City is going to win this game. But can the Browns use that running game? Can they shorten this thing and therefore make up the talent gap?
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. I think what the Browns are going to have to do if they're going to win this game, and I know they feel really good about their offense right now. Baker Mayfield was clicking against the Steelers. But I think if you're going to beat this Chiefs team, you can't have it turn into a track meet. That's what they're going to try to do. They're going to outscore you. They want to be on the field for 1 minute and 40 seconds with their offense. It's like a 2-minute drill the entire game, and boom, boom, boom. That's what they want. For the Browns, you want to have a ground and pound approach. I think you want to make sure you're going with your stable of running backs with Chubb and Hunt and controlling the clock. If they can play that way and then call on Baker to make a couple of throws, I think they feel like they can control the tempo. But man, will the defense allow them to do that? Because the Chiefs are going to be able to score some points.
I have been critical at times of Baker Mayfield, not personally, actually. I just have doubted at times, can he be a guy like Aaron Rodgers who can win a game with his arm? And I think I've changed a little bit on that, Nick. I don't think he has to, the way this team is built, so maybe I'm judging him wrong. But can he sling it throw for throw with Pat Mahomes if this game gets into the 30s?
I just don't see it. I think at times when Baker's able to thrive, it's when that running game is able to control the tempo, and then he can step back on a 2nd and 5 and sling it. You know what I mean? I just think, and he uses his tight ends very well. Those are kind of his security blankets. But if you're asking me, can he go toe to toe with Mahomes? A lot of people have mentioned that game that they played when they were at Oklahoma and Texas Tech. I don't think it's going to look anything like that. In fact, I think that Texas Tech team that Baker was facing, that defense looked like the flag football team I coached a few years ago. So, I mean, come on. This is an NFL game. I don't think it's going to look like that did. But yeah, if you're asking me, do I think Baker can go toe-to-toe with Pat Mahomes? I think if you're a Browns fan, you hope not, because that's not the type of game you want to be in.
And if you want to be an optimistic Browns fan, and really there should be no other kind. I grew up in Northeast Ohio. That's what it is. So if you want to be an optimistic Browns fan, there's no better year to make a wild card run on the road, right? I mean, Arrowhead in January, not as scary as Arrowhead in January's past.
Yeah, David, it was friends and family in Pittsburgh. I mean, there's really no sort of atmosphere, and I think someone was saying the Chiefs are going to have some more fans than the Steelers did, but still, even at that, there's really no sense of home field. I think that's a great point. I think you can kind of go out there and play your game and not be affected by anything on the outside. And here's another thing, to go back to your casino analogy. I think the Browns are playing with house money. I mean, no matter what they do, they could get blown out on Sunday. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. I think that anything from here on is a bonus, what they've been able to do in this short time in the Kevin Stefanski era. So just go out there, play your game, and you can go with a house money approach. And I think those teams are dangerous.
One of the things the Chiefs do so well, just speed everywhere. I mean, everyone knows Tyreek Hill, but Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson. I mean, they have speed everywhere. Denzel Ward coming off the COVID list finally. The difference that will make this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to help. I mean, their defensive backfield, when he's not there, has been a little bit of a mess. The linebackers have struggled too. So they're going to have their work cut out for them. A guy like Kelsey is going to provide an interesting matchup. Do you put a DB on him? Do you put a linebacker on him? He's too fast for a linebacker. He's too big for a DB. So that's an interesting thing. But yeah, getting Ward back, that gives you a shutdown type of presence that they were missing last week. The thing that we don't mention, even though the Browns won, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger in that second half was pretty much doing it whatever he wanted to do. And I think that defensive backfield was unfortunately on display a little bit. So yeah, it'll be nice to have him back.
Okay, let's daydream just for a second. Let's say the Browns do the unthinkable. They shock the Chiefs. I hate to look ahead, but man, those two matchups, the Bills, talk about two Lake Erie fan bases who have been tortured, and the Ravens. Can you imagine going through the Ravens to get to the first Super Bowl? I mean, let's just daydream, Nick. Both those matchups would be so much fun.
Yeah, like you said, the Browns have their work cut out for them with the defending Super Bowl champs. Saying that, though, yeah, I mean, either of those matchups would be unbelievable. I mean, how about the Monday Night Football game that the Browns had with the Ravens? I mean, that was wild. If you got something like that, it would be crazy, very fitting, because it's the old Browns and the Bills. We all know what an unbelievable run they've had, a great franchise, and it looks like they've not only found their franchise quarterback, it looks like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the AFC for a long, long time.
Okay, let's get you out on this one. The last time the Browns had a good team, I think about that 10-6 Derek Anderson, Braylon Edwards team that somehow missed the playoffs at 10-6. But they went right back to being the Browns after that. The fan base is so optimistic right now. Do you see this team taking a step back, or is this finally now we can say this team is going to have a window the next 3 to 5 years to be very good?
Wow. It's a great question. If you asked me that since 1999, my answer would be different. But I really think that they have finally, their head coach that they've been looking for. The identity that they've been looking for. I do think they need some help on the defensive side of the football if they're going to take that next step. But no, I don't see any regression going into next year. I know the opponents are out. The schedule looks a little difficult, especially when they go on the road. You and I aren't going to play the schedule game right now. But saying that, I think that there is a lot of hope that this team will continue to improve in years to come.